hear me tell you that I'm not okay. Hey. And if time heals all wounds, can the days pass by then? And if it's all true, can you tell a little lie then? The time that we share right now, that is temporary. The love that we feel right now, to me that's kinda scary. Cause if I let you in right now, the loss I cannot carry. The time that we share right now, that is temporary. The love that we feel right now, to me that's kinda scary. Cause if I let you in right now, the loss I cannot carry. Why?
All right. We are rolling, we are running. Welcome to my very first mix breakdown. I'm gonna walk through the track Temporary by Vince de Vogel, Vince de Vogel, Vince the Bird. I don't know, man. Some Dutch name you're pronouncing in English. I mixed this song a few months ago, I think 8 months ago. It just released last month or the month before, and I heard it again and I thought I just need to do a mixed breakdown of this. So here we are, the very first one. If it goes well, I will do more. I may make it a monthly thing. So please let me know if you want me to do this every month with another song, and I might. All right. We are in the Atlantis studio. Yes, this used to be the Red Bull studio where I worked for 4.5 years. I ran this studio, worked here 6 days a week, made sure everything was all right. Sessions were great. Everything was recorded perfectly. Mixes were done in a top-notch way. Did my own projects, did Red Bull projects, did projects for a lot of great artists. But Red Bull decided to sell the studio, and now we're with a new owner, the owner of the building. It's in the Q Factory in Amsterdam, and we're going to do great new things. They rebranded it. We're working on how to profile the studio, on the marketing strategy, on making it a completely new studio and making sure it's great as ever again. So I'm really excited that I'm gonna be a part of that and that we can have this studio continue to run as it should and as I always had it running. So I work here every week. I rent out the studio multiple times a week to do my own sessions. We run sessions here. It's fully operational. So if you ever need a studio, let me know. I think we'll just dive right in. This mixed breakdown is going to be a fun one. Where should I start? I think I'll start with showing you my template, which is an old template. I've got a new template now, and things changed a bit, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad template that I'm working on for this mix. It's a great template. I just wanted to do something different. But I'll show you that next time, what my new template is about. This one, as you can see, has all the effects on top. So it has the parallel drum and bass, saturation. I'm not going through everything because then we'll be halfway through the breakdown and I'll be having a breakdown because I've explained so much about all my effects channels. So these are all my effects channels: verbs, delays, flangers, doublers, chorus, you name it, and they all go to the all effects bus. the main thing with my new template is that I've got group folders because the new Pro Tools came out with group folders, and I've grouped everything in the folder. So I have dedicated effects for instruments. So I've got my vocal effects in my vocal folder. I've got music effects in my music folder, and this all effects bus split 3 ways. So it's now drum effects, music effects, vocal effects. But for this one, all the effects go to the all effects. Then it's all drums, all music, all vocals, and all effects. That goes to the pre-master. There, my master chain goes on, and then it goes to the master. Normally, I've got stuff like the adapter on the master chain, but I couldn't send the master to both my output and the output for OBS, so I needed to do it this way. There's no change, except for when I accidentally press this and print it, because then on my print tracks here below, there will be the demo. So I'll be sending off the demo to the client. That's great. Yes, let's do that. Let's not do that. Let me see. It's always a struggle to see where you want to start. Do you want to start with the vocals? Do you want to start with the drums? Do you want to start with instrument and a vocal? I usually start way. The first start is usually for me editing the vocals. So I'm getting vocals. In this case, it's just a single lead vocal. There's no backings, no dubs, no ad-libs, nothing. And I need to fix it, make it better. So what I do is I go through the track. Let me see if I have the original. Yeah, I've got the original. So originally, it's like this. I'll make it a bit bigger for you guys so you can see easier. Originally, it's like this. So you can see it's very dynamic. His first word is super. Look at the difference in waveform between this and that. That's huge compared to that. So what can we do? We can slap on a compressor. Sure. Make sure this compresses really hard and that almost doesn't compress. But I'm not about that. That's for when you're mixing live and you don't have any other tools to work with, and you have to clamp it down with the compressor, otherwise you're not going to hear the soft parts. So what I'm doing is, let's go back to the other one, is taking the big ones down and clip gaining everything up and down so we've got a consistent level. And then we can compress. And now, if I have my threshold set over here, this one is going to get compressed a bit. This one's going to get compressed a bit. This one might or might not be really compressed. So the compressor has a lot more, it can sound a lot more forgiving and doesn't have to work as hard and doesn't have to clamp down on anything, making stuff sound unnatural. So let's go back to the OG vocal, the original vocal. You can see there's a lot of dynamics. There's like really soft parts here that needed to come up. I can put it in playlist. Let's do that. I can put it in playlist, and then we can watch what the original was and what I did to it. So here, that one goes down, that goes down a bit, that goes a tiny bit up. Everything goes up and down a bit. I'm not looking for this, because that's, let's see what that sounds like. That's going to sound horrible.
Reach the end of.
He jumps out. So you don't want that. You always want to see, like, okay, I'm seeing that the waveform is a lot larger here. So how much can I go down before it starts to sound unnatural? So this is the original.
How often do people reach the?
And this is after the edit. I have to press N.
How often do people reach the?
Let's listen to that without the compression and everything. So original.
How often do people reach the?
And the one after the clip gain.
How often do people reach the?
So there's no compression on that yet. There's nothing going on, and it's already less dynamic, and you hear it jump out, and that would just not fit in the mix. It would just not fit in the mix if this one was twice or 3 times as loud as that one. So getting a smooth vocal is all about putting the time in and doing this. Normally, I also de-ess by hand. I think if I remember correctly, I didn't do that on this one because it was recorded pretty good. It was recorded on a U87 with an LA610. I didn't record it. He recorded it himself or in a different studio. I don't know. U87 LA610. You can see that right there, the black one. Into an Apollo. So that's a decent chain. I mean, it's a bit dark. I had to carve out some low mids, but I barely did anything to the vocal. It's so... I mean, there's 3 plugins on here. Can you imagine having 3 plugins? I mean, you're all going, what? 3 plugins? I've got 12 plugins on my vocal chain. How's this possible? Nah, sorry guys. I'm not gonna be bitching about you guys. It's about this song. So, let's see. After I've done that, after I've done the edit, let me go out of playlist mode and let me go to the final vocal. Then if I de-ess, I always end up using a de-esser still to just carve out the last bit of nasty S's, F's, and T's that my manual de-essing didn't quite get. But same as with the compression, if I do, the more I do by hand, the less. I'm not English, guys. I'm Dutch. The less this thing has to do. So this just helps with tiny amounts. I can play something and see how much it does at the S's.
Are we safe? Is this connection a waste? Tired of kissing goodbye? You want my heart? Kiss your cold face?
Yeah, so that does 3 or 4 dB, which for me is already a lot. Maybe because after I did my edit and hadn't done my manual de-essing, I realized there was a bit too much S. So normally this only does 2 dB, but yeah, 2, 3, 4. I'm not de-essing by 12, 15. Why does this meter even go down to minus 48? Who de-esses 48 dB? You should be in a mental asylum. Then the C6. I really like this on vocals, just to have that multiband on there. Make sure everything is just dancing around, taking a bit of resonances out there. So I've got this one on 2728. Could have been on 2782 as well. I mean, somewhere around that number, just take it out. But check for yourself. Don't take 2728. Don't just do what I do. Check for yourself. Where's that harshness? Because on this mic, it might be here. On the other mic, it might be somewhere completely different. So let's see. I'll play a bit and let's see what this does. Let's play a bit on the beginning.
How often did you hear me tell you that I'm not okay? How often did you hear me tell you that I'm not?
So to me, it gets rid of a bit of harshness and makes it a rounder vocal just by doing this band, and then the rest just gently keeps it in there. If he goes lower in tonality or higher, it's really nice to have this be able to compress certain parts of the frequency range more than others. So maybe he goes really bassy on one point, and then this can go down a bit further. And then when he's going to a higher region, this can come up a bit, so it adds a bit of body. That's really nice on vocals. And then, I mean, it's not really in the shot, but you can see this is an SSL 4000 GE custom design. I designed this center part to be part of it. Just had it refurbished. I love this thing, but I'm not running everything through the desk in a mix because I just need to be able to open my project, do stuff wherever I go, and sometimes I just don't need to. Sometimes this SSL plugin works great because I think I did a shootout once or twice with the SSL plugin and the actual SSL desk, and it was so close. I mean, analog is still going to give you the analog flavor and still going to give you a certain thing that digital can't give you, but it's colors. It's painting with colors, and you've got an analog color and you've got a digital color. And it doesn't mean one is better than the other. For example, the massive passive, I believe is just inside the shot here. Hope you can still hear me. That is great on vocal high-end stuff. I love it, adding a bit of warmth and really nice, crisp, pristine EQ. But on kicks, for example, I really like the UAD plugin version, and I really don't like that one on kicks. I tried it. I always used the massive passive on kicks, the UAD version, and then I was able to get this one for the studio, and I was like, oh, let me try it on kick. It must be even more amazing. And it was such a bummer. It wasn't amazing at all. It was not great. I mean, it's a great piece, but just not for that kick at that time. So it's all colors. Nothing is a magic box. It's just which box does the job for which source, which moment, which vibe you're going for. Let me check the SSL channel. I usually have it on 2-1, just easy, how I would set it on the desk. It changes from every now and then. Yeah. 2-1 is my go-to ratio for vocals for this SSL compressor. And then play with the attack and release. I usually don't really put on a fast attack. You see it flips up. You can do the same thing on the actual desk. I wish I could control these plugins by the desk. Or maybe I should just route it to the desk and use the desk. Some EQing, I can go into this, but it's so case dependent that on this, this worked, but it's not that I can put this on any vocal and that means that vocal is going to sound better. Other vocals that are recorded differently might not need that 9.3K 2 decibel boost. Maybe you're recording with an NT1A and a Scarlett. Please don't. And you've got plenty of that. And you're lacking low mids. So taking out 600 would not be really great. I don't know. It's so case dependent. I think that's why I'm not going really in depth in there. Let me see. We've got the parallel vocal. I'll show you the parallel vocal in a sec. I'm just going through these and how I set up my auxes and everything. So as you can see, I've got a vocal, reverb, I've got a slap, doubler, and here are my delays. So you can see here, I've got it all laid out for you guys, is all the automation I've done on all the delays. So there's not a single delay that just goes throughout the track. It's on every piece. There's a specific delay that comes in for that moment, for a certain purpose, for a certain feel that I need to help my vocal give the emotion, the vibe that I'm looking for at that moment. So I've got a 16th, an 8th, quarter, an 8th low pass, and an 8th ping pong. So because it doesn't have anything fancy on the vocal. It's just a straight lead vocal with a production behind it. It doesn't have backing vocals, anything. So I need to make it interesting. But I don't want to go all out and create crazy stuff. I just want to add certain touches that when you're listening to it, you're going to feel the emotion in the vocal and the progression in the vocal and feel the vocal moving forward and expanding and living and telling a story. For the first half of the verse, I'm not doing that much. Then it changes. This is sort of a pre-chorus. I'm adding a quarter note delay. Let's see how that sounds.
And if time heals all wounds,
That's just to fill in the blanks here, to fill in those spaces. I felt I needed that it's just a vibe thing. I can't really explain why I do everything. I'm really trying my best to explain why I do everything, but sometimes it's just an idea that comes up in my head and I'm like, that's the vibe I'm getting off of this, and that's what I'm feeling, and that's what I want to hear. I feel that's what I want to hear.
and if time heals all wounds, can the days pass by then? And if it's all true,
It's not crazy. It's not on a phone speaker, or when you're casually listening, you might not even notice it. But when you're on headphones or you're in a studio, you can feel that it's repeating itself and that it carries you with it. Then we've got the hook, the first part of the hook. Where does the first start again? Yeah, there.
the time that we share right now, that is temporary. The love that we feel right now, to me, that's kinda scary.
So just for that part, I wanted to have the ping pong 8th note.
The time that we share right now, that is temporary.
Just to give it a bit of a wash on the sides, make it a bit wider, get into the hook opens up, it becomes wider, and we get more width and we get more of that dramatic effect. Just to have it change there. It's not crazy, it's not like I'm doing this.
That is temporary. The love that we feel right now,
I'm not doing that.
time that we share right now, that is temporary.
It's barely even there, but it's there. If you take it out,
Time that we share right now, that is temporary.
put it in,
Time that we share right now, that is temporary.
there's something tingling your ears on the left and the right. And that's what I'm going for. And then I've got some single shots. I'm not going through everything. I just want to give an example with every delay why it's there.
Right now,
Right, this is a fun one. I like this one.
'cause if I let you in right now,
Can you hear it with the production going? I'll solo it.
'cause if I let you in right now, the loss I
It's really na 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 na. As if he's standing in a big cave. Let's leave it at that. Like, I needed that feeling. It's empty.
'cause if I let you in right now, the loss
There's more. What's that? Quarter and an eighth note low pass.
carry.
I needed that quarter there to fill up the gap.
Carry,
But why did I need the low pass as well?
carry.
Wait, that's the low pass you're hearing, right? I always get confused by quarter notes and eighth notes and meh. So I felt I needed to have the second repetition a bit different, louder. Give the delay that groove. Thought Juno was snoring, but he's really quiet. It's just a laptop.
The loss I cannot carry.
Juno is my dog, by the way, for the people that don't know me. He's always with me. I'm not gonna turn the camera, but maybe you'll see him later. Yeah, let's go back to mixing.
The loss I cannot carry. What?
It's eighth note, but then not low pass. I've got a low pass eighth note on this part as well. So let's play it. Let's see why I used the eighth note on a low pass setting here.
Why chase tomorrow if today ain't promised? Hold your race.
So to me, that really gave me the back and forth to fill in the blanks, fill in the spaces, have a sort of back and forth with the vocal and the delay, da 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 da. That it just keeps that momentum going. Let's see if I bypass it.
Why chase tomorrow if today ain't promised? Hold your.
And with it,
Why chase tomorrow if today ain't promised? Hold your race.
to me, that alters the groove of that part of the vocal. And I really enjoy what that's doing. Again, it's a subtle thing. I don't want to go all overboard, be poppy, vocal, delay, weird effects that jump out of your speakers. I just want to add a little sauce to the vocal so it has a certain vibe and a certain feel. So far for the delays, because I know myself, I can get caught up in this forever, and I won't do that. What was I going to check? Vocal parallel, of course, because I cannot leave the vocal parallel undiscussed. So I sent the vocal to the parallel on 0, fully there. If there's backing vocals, I might send a little bit of that, but the parallel vocal to me is really about getting that lead vocal parallel in your face, and not needing to compress the actual vocal that much, because I'm barely compressing it, but then having a steady block of vocal underneath that lead vocal, to have it. I always de-S the parallel vocal first, because the last thing I want to do is add even more harshness to those S's. It's an all-round, so it's not only doing the S's, but it's doing de-essing on the entire vocal. Then, in this case, it's a distressor I sometimes do the distressor, sometimes I do the 1176, the blue stripe. I like that one. Um, I've got distresses there. Why not use it? I never use outboard gear on auxiliaries because on a vocal or on a whoa. On a vocal or on an instrument or just on an audio track, it's really easy to work with hardware because you just patch it in, and when you're done, you commit it. It records the entire track, and that's it. With an aux, you can do that. Of course, you can print the aux, but then you're stuck with the aux if you make a slight change to your vocal sound, or you edit something, or you add a reverb or whatever. You add a reverb? No, that's not right. If you change anything, it changes it in the aux. So I want the aux to be flexible. I don't want to have a set aux that's there and I can't change anything about it anymore. So that's might have sounded better with the distressor on there, but I'm not going to do that unless I'm really sure that that hardware thing is going to give me so much of a better result than the plugin is, and then I'll put it on there, I'll print it, and I'll just use it as a stem, as a separate vocal parallel stem. So what did I do on the vocal parallel? A ratio of 10:1. I put the detector on a notch in the middle so it doesn't react to the lows and the highs as much. So it keeps it more consistent. So when there's a lot of low end coming in, let's say he's not really doing it. He has a pretty constant tonality to his voice. But let's say you've got someone that's doing Barry White in the verses and Michael Jackson in the hooks. The compressor is going to be reacting completely different. So then it's nice to have that little mid bump. So it's only on the detector, so the detector just pushes that up a bit. The distortion on 2, I like that on vocals. That's one is a transformer emulation. The other one is a tape emulation, or is it tube? It's tube and tape. I think it's tube and tape. I'm gonna check it. I'll probably make a banner somewhere that says what it is, or you can read the manual. Input output is however you're gonna set it. Attack and release. I start off at 5.5 usually, and then I gradually take this down or up. It really depends. If I've got a vocal that's already compressed and I need to add some life and some dynamics to it, I'll push this up a bit. Where was it again? 4. Yeah. And if I've got a really dynamic vocal that I want to have the dry signal really dynamic and I just want to have a block underneath it, then I'll go down a bit more so it gets evened out a bit more. This squeezes it so it really adds this new tonality to the vocal, new harmonics, it's a different sound than when you would apply this compression on the raw track. Taking out a little bit of harshness here, adding some air band with the mag and some low mids, and taking out some EQs. It's really case dependent. I can go through every EQ with you guys, but as soon as you're gonna mix your track, it's going to be completely different. So yeah, I don't really want to do that. I know there's a lot of you that are like, I really want to know what I should set my compressor and my EQ on, but that's not how the game works. That's something you need to figure out. I can teach you what my thought process is, what I think, what I do, what I like to do, and I hope I'm doing that at this moment. But what it should exactly be set on, that is something that's different every mix. Let's continue to guitars. The guitar. So the source of this track was a mono guitar, and it's the lead instrument. So I'll play you a bit. That goes throughout the entire track. I'm sorry, but it's a bit boring. If that's going to be the entire track, just in mono underneath there, I mean, I can play the mix with that, just in mono there.
People reach the end of the tunnel, show the way. Hey.
It's boring. I'm sorry. So, what did I do? I put it in a folder, I duplicated it, and this is the down mixer because I am getting a mono file in a stereo stem, so I just want to do a down mixer, mute one side, and then it continues as a mono track, so all my processing is going to be in mono, and my CPU is not getting overloaded. So I've got the down mixer on those both tracks, it's the same track, and then I put on autotune on one of them. Yeah, autotune. I set it to the key. The tracking, if you want to know what the tracking does, I made a video. I can link that as well. It's on my Instagram. And just play around with it. Maybe you need a really fast, I don't think you need a really fast retune speed, but maybe it helps to get it faster. This 80 helped for me because it varied the pitch a bit, which, which makes it almost work like a random chorus. A chorus varies the pitch on one side by an LFO, which makes it wider. And this just does it randomly. So it looks at the input and it just goes, okay, I'm going up, down. I wanted to say left, right, but the pitch doesn't go left, right. It does in the autotune plugin. It goes left and right, but actually it goes up and down. So that way you can get more width. So then I ended up with this. And then in the folder, I processed it a bit more, took out some resonances, EQing the left and the right differently here, made a little pocket for the vocal, which is a really nice thing. Somewhere in the mids, you can EQ the left and right differently. That way, over here, it's gonna have different information, so it's gonna be wider there. Just there. Not everywhere, just there. Some EQ, again, it needed it this time. I tried the purple. It was too purple for me. Nah, I didn't like it. Then I compressed it. Let's see how much I compressed it, what I did with the compressor. Okay, so for me, this 5 dB is a lot of compression. I got a ratio of 4:1, a medium attack, and a fast-ish release. So let's see if I bypass it, what it gives me. So pushes it more forward. I get more of the pick to make it cut through the mix a bit more. There are certain things I like about the uncompressed guitar, and there's certain things I like about the compressed guitar. But in the mix, I think with the compression, it just comes out a bit more. It's a bit fuller. There's a bit more articulation in the pick, and it works a bit better for me. Let's see, Decapitator. My life would be so empty without you, Decapitator. It's great. Ooh, I've got it on the N, which is a Neve emulation. There's like 5 emulations here, and each one sounds different. So I'm not going through which one is which. Just check it out. There's, I think it says in a manual, and otherwise there's an Instagram account that has it, has a post about it, which says which one is which and what type of characteristic you can expect with which one. Just a little bit of drive. Let's see how it is with or without. Just a little bit of mids, pushing it a bit more forward. No crazy high end, low end coming in, just a little bit more, so it gets pushed a little bit more forward. I'll just play it within the mix and bypass it. It's a tiny difference, but every small difference makes a big difference when they're put together. Then we've got a guitar layer.
If time heals all wounds, if it's all true, can you tell a little lie then?
Because the keys, the other guitar layer, I put all the way on the left. Yes, that's the left, and that's the right. So this layer is, hey, that's mono. Yeah, I use the down mix as well. So that's mono on a stereo track again. Down mixer, EQ, decap. Here it's just mono in the center.
You bet I'm not okay. Hey.
And then there, I decided to automate this to go to the left. Not be on the left already, but go to the left. So we get a little bit of movement from that middle towards the left, and then the right comes in with the other guitar, and they together make it a whole stereo thing. So that type of movement is really nice to introduce the new section of the song, the new pre-hook, pre-hook. I should work with markers more often so I know what I should name which section. But you get it, the next section.
And if time heals all wounds, can the days pass by then? And if it's all true, can you tell a little lie then? The time.
All right. Then underneath that, we've got the keys. They're all guitars, but he named them keys. It's all right. You can name your guitars keys. Maybe it was a keytar. Sorry, I'll leave the dumb jokes. That's pretty straightforward. I didn't do a lot to it. is basically just the verb of this one. I left that. I could have, even if I wanted it to grow even wider in the hook, I could have even took this part and said, yo, I need you to go. Oh, I even put that on one side. I could have said, I'm taking this part, putting it, yeah, like that. I'm making it that. Let's see how that sounds, if we can even tell the difference.
Hey. And if time heals all wounds, can the hey. And if time heals all wounds, can the days pass by then?
I think so. But it's more that it now it contrasts this one. So this one goes all the way to the left, and this one's more on the right. So for this piece where it's in mono, this one creates a little bit of width and interesting flavor on the right. And for this one, it makes it even wider because the dry contrast is on the left and the reverb is on the right. So that makes it bigger, makes it wider, because difference between left and right is width. Makes it wider. Synth. See, without the plugins on it. And with. Just needed some distortion saturation to push it through. Let's go through them one by one. I didn't need the top of this, so I just took off. Like this sample rate, if you take down the sample rate, it basically... sorry, I wanted to say I made a video about sample rate, but I'm not going to say with everything that I'm going to show you, I made a video about that. Basically, if you want to see more, you can watch the video, but this sample rate over here means it reduces the sample rate there to that number. So for every sample we need to reproduce, we need 2 sample points. So this can reproduce up to math, 16.5K. So I just needed to get rid of that upper part, the upper few hertzes. Then a bit of distortion and saturation. The reason I didn't use a low-pass filter, I could have used a low-pass filter, but I tend to like this a bit more. It's more natural. It actually says, no, I don't want you in my life. I don't want you here. I don't want to register these frequencies. Instead of, I want to take these frequencies out by phase canceling them, which is what an EQ does. Then taking out some mids, and coloring with the EQ. I use the VEQ a lot to color because it's a Neve EQ. It's a Neve 1081, I believe. It's supposed to be a Neve 1081 or 1084. I think it's 1081 because it has 4 bands. It's supposed to replicate that, so it gives me that Neve flavor, and I like that Neve flavor. And then carving a bit more out. Taking some dynamic EQ. Let's see what that does. It opens it up a bit more. And when it's higher, then it leaves the body leaves those frequencies alone so they can support it and add a bit more body. Then we're almost done with this, with the instruments. We're almost at drums, guys. We're almost at drums. Okay, so here I had the original synth. I'm just going to bypass the inserts. Let me see. That's like the main synth of the hook. And I was not a very big fan of that sound. The rest of the sounds you can see I barely touched them. They were great. They were really great sounding already. I didn't need to do a lot, but with this one, this took me a few moments to get right. Just thought it was a good sound. It's probably a Juno or something. But it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do yet. So I needed a different texture in there. So I did the same trick in the mids, EQing the left and the right different. Juno is snoring now. I love it when he's asleep because he can't annoy me. Let's see. EQing. Pushing the low mids a bit more forward, the high mids a tiny push forward. A decapitator on T this time, which is a triode tube. I remembered that one. Just pushing those high mids a bit more than lo-fi, even more saturation. Now, on its own, I don't really like what the lo-fi is adding in saturation, but I'm sure in the mix, I needed that extra push to place it where it was. Because if you have stuff on solo, it's not always sounding great what you're doing. It's not supposed to sound great on its own. You're not handing out a solo bounce of a synth to someone. So don't worry if your soloed sounds are sounding terrible, as long as the final mix sounds great. It sounds great. No one's gonna hear that until you have to bounce the stems for the live show, and then you get your client looking at you like, "Yeah, really? Really? The synths sound like this?" Nah. Okay, I put you see a grayed out insert here, which is 5 and 6. I don't know what's on 5 and 6. Nah, I've got a patch bay. Patch it in. It was probably the Massive Passive, one of my favorite pieces in the studio, to give it a bit more warmth. So let's see. That's what I've done before the Massive Passive. And then when I'm done, I commit it, and then it becomes a new track with the sends on there and everything, every insert after that hardware insert as well. So this is without the hardware processing. And this is after the hardware. Here how before the hardware processing, it's a bit nasally, it's a bit stuck in the mids. That's one thing I really like hardware for. Making it forgiving. Again, I use the word forgiving. I don't know if it makes sense for anyone else, but to me, forgiving is really, something about hardware, the tubes, the transistors, the transformers, everything makes it just forgiving fall into place, make it real and a good texture. If you've, yeah, it's just something I'm so used to because I track so many live instruments and bands and full, even orchestras, choirs, whatever. And you immediately notice, like, if you're using good gear and good output gear, everything is falling into place and it's doing what it's supposed to do, and it's so easy to mix. So sometimes just grabbing a piece of hardware makes it so easy for everything to fall in place and to something that just won't fit in the mix. Sometimes pulling it through hardware just works, makes it forgiving. And sometimes it doesn't do the job. I mean, it's not a magic box, like I said earlier. But this time, to me, it was a magic box. And then the H3000. I love this thing. Don't know what it's on. W2.
The time that we share right now, better stamp.
I needed this to be really wide, I guess. I like the sound without the H3000 more, but in the mix.
The time that we share right now, that is temporary. The love that we feel right now, to me, that's kinda scary.
I needed that width. I mean, I could have gone both ways, but apparently in this progress of the song, I needed that width on that part. So I just went for it. That concludes the instruments. Then we're going for drums.